Hello everyone and good morning. I feel like now is the perfect time to make this video, a sequel to my Newcastle keep or sell going into the 2024-25 campaign. We looked at our current squad, now it's time to look at the future. This is already 10 targets that the Saudi Arabia PAF has been quoted on social media to be going in for. I want to make the obvious point straight away that we aren't going to buy 10 players. It's not going to happen. So some of the targets in this video aren't going to happen, but this is realistic, this is accurate, and these are targets straight away that Newcastle are going in for. Quite a wide range, to say the least. I feel like it's going to be a video where you guys are definitely going to agree with some of them and you're definitely going to disagree with some of them as well. So we're going to get through them all in this video. So make sure, if you enjoy the content, get down there, hit that subscribe button, smash the like button as well if you enjoy. Let me know your opinions. But unlike previous transfer windows, this one is strange because we don't have a director of football. Dan Ashworth is not here, he's on gardening leave. We haven't brought anyone else in so far, which means that Amanda Staveley and Murder are actually hands-on with the transfer targets. So it's their job quite literally to get these players at the minute. So they'll be hands-on with any transfer targets. We already know we've got at least one through the door, which we'll explain in this video. But for now, our co-owners, they've got to do all the work themselves. So let's see how good are they going to be in the transfer market. And I think you'll be surprised. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Let's start off with the most boring position, I feel like, for Newcastle fans, and that being the goalkeeper. We know already Dubravka and Karius will both most likely leave, so Newcastle need a number 2. And with the uncertainty of Nick Pope having a dislocated shoulder injury from last year, we also probably need to start pushing into a number 1. So far, our transfer targets, the most recent one that has came out is actually James Trafford from Burnley. So we've already signed the Burnley goalkeeper now. It looks like Newcastle are going back in for yet another Burnley goalkeeper. So it's the exact same scenario where Burnley's been relegated and Newcastle were kind of jumped on it. Now, in my personal opinion, James Trafford, quite a young goalkeeper. I think he has potential. But if you're paying anything over £10 million for him, I think it's a risky move. I do see us going in for him though. I 100% agree with this one. He's obviously a goalkeeper that fits Newcastle more. We are looking for number 2. Would he be happy being a number 2 at Newcastle? That's a different question. And on top of that, Aaron Ramsdale, Arsenal's current number 2. Now, he's a more complicated one because he wants first team football. So unless Newcastle, in my personal opinion, are willing to give Ramsdale first team football from the get-go, I don't think we'll get him. Straight away, I don't think we'll get him. So those are 2 English goalkeepers that have been quoted. So I'm going to keep these 2 as one player just for the sake of this video. But they aren't the only goalkeepers have been linked to. A name that just doesn't seem to go away for Newcastle United is Valencia's goalkeeper, Georgi Marmadashi. I've definitely pronounced that wrong, but it seems like it's a name I'm going to have to start to learn quite quickly because he just does not go away at all. He's a goalkeeper we are looking into. Valencia has had quite an uneventful season. They finished 9th in La Liga. They've conceded 45 goals in 38 matches. And I wish I could tell you more about the guy. I just don't know much about him. So he's one of the only players in this video where I legit can't tell you much about him. But Newcastle will most likely sign one of these 3 goalkeepers. So I've got to give you my honest opinion now. It's probably going to be James Trafford. I've had to pick one. So what do you believe about that one? Do you think that's the one we're going for? Do you believe he'll be one of the other 2 goalkeepers, or do you think we'll sign someone that's not even been on the list so far? A signing that we already know is coming into the football club is Lloyd Kelly. He'll be signing on a free from Bournemouth. His contract's just expired and already he wants to move to Newcastle now. For me, I'm a massive advocate of Lloyd Kelly. I think he's a good player. Bournemouth last season, one of the teams we couldn't beat in the Premier League, they were solid against us both times, and it's down to players like him. I mean, what, they finished mid-table? You wouldn't have predicted Bournemouth to finish mid-table, would you? I know Solanke's been quite a big part of that, but you've got to give the defence a lot of credit. Lloyd Kelly is solid, and especially in a free signing, you wouldn't say no to this one, so I'm buzzing we've got this one through the door. For me, he's going to be a top player. He's coming in as a centre-half, but can also play a left-back, and now Newcastle, we've got about 5 or 6 good left-backs we can actually use, so our squad depth's great, backline's looking nice, and while we've got injuries to Botman and Lascelles, Lloyd Kelly is going to slot straight in. I think he'd be a fantastic signing for the club. We can't talk about Lloyd Kelly without mentioning Tosin Adebayo. These 2 players have been linked for about a month now, both free agents, this one being a centre-half from Fulham. However, due to the fact that we are out of European football, and also the fact that Manchester United and Chelsea are looking to potentially bring in Tosin on a free signing. I don't see Newcastle getting this one. I think the competition's too stiff. I know reports on social media before the FA Cup final looked great towards Newcastle, but I feel like that was a big factor. You got to look at this guy's point of view, especially at Chelsea coming from. I mean, he's already living in the same area, so why would you not just move to Chelsea? His family can stay in London, and he hasn't got any personal connections to Newcastle, so in the player's best interest, I just don't think he'll join Newcastle. I'll be honest now, I don't think it's going to happen. So if this one still goes through the door and Newcastle were able to still bring Tosin Adebayo in, I'll be so impressed. I'll honestly be so impressed with the club. But if I had to give you my honest opinion now, I do not think we'll sign him. I believe he'll go to either Chelsea or Manchester United. Moving into the midfield now, I'm going to start off with quite a controversial choice, but this was a player that was heavily linked to Newcastle in the January transfer window, and despite his poor loan spell at West Ham, I still believe the club will reignite these links, and that being Calvin Phillips. I remember watching this guy at St James's Park, one absolute stinker he dropped. He was quite literally the reason why West Ham threw a 3-1 lead against us. He was awful in that game, and he's had an awful spell at West Ham where he has cost that team points. He's actually been a bad player for them. So when these links will start to come out during the summer transfer window, it's one that's going to make me twitch a bit, because I mean, if he plays anything like that for Newcastle like he did for West Ham, absolutely no chance they'll want to sign this player. So straight away, one that I'm personally against. Despite my preferences, my opinions, I still believe these links will reignite. This will be a link that you will see during the summer transfer window, whether you like it or not. So, obviously, hopefully, my opinion, we don't sign him, but this is someone that the PRF will again be looking into. Now, an English midfielder that excites me quite a lot and can also play out wide is Morgan Gibbs-White from Nottingham Forest. Bagged 5 goals and 10 assists in 37 matches, and a real talent. Great prospect, great future ahead of him, and he's someone at Newcastle, it fits our mould. He's a young player, he's up and coming, he's versatile, can play multiple positions. He's at that stage where he's most likely going to be leaving Nottingham Forest. They've just survived relegation, they're quite a poor team, and if he has any ambition of wanting to progress in his career, he just won't stay at Nottingham Forest. So whether Newcastle are able to win the competition to bring him in is another question. Someone that's great though. 100% I would want Morgan Gibbs-White. Quality player. He's someone that would more than likely go out wide for Newcastle, I would have thought, just due to how many midfielders we currently have, and because of the fact that he's more of a central player. I don't know if this would be one Newcastle would actually get, but again, it's going to be one that's going to be heavily linked during the summer window. Definitely a player Newcastle will be watching. Fits our bill perfectly, and if it's a deal that can possibly get done for a decent price, then I can see it happening. Time to move into the exciting part, the attackers, and we're going to start things off with the one straight away we aren't going to get. One that has already been linked to the club, one that we were interested in signing, but a player we won't get this summer is Jared Bourne. And when you look at the guy's stats, you can see clearly why Newcastle wants to bring him in. It's so frustrating because we could have had him. We could have had him when he was at Hull City. All we had to do at the time, Mike Ashley, transfer deadline day, give them Dwight Gill, they needed a striker. We could have had Jared Bourne either for a swap or for a minimal fee. We threw it away, and this guy's had so many good years at West Ham, and it's such a frustrating one, because if you ask me, one sign that Newcastle nearly had but we threw it away, it'll be this guy every single time. I love watching Jared Bourne playing, but of course he's happy at West Ham, has no intention on leaving. Don't see it happening, and it's so frustrating because I personally believe that he could have been in black and white. Staying on the topic of players that could play out wide, one that continues to be linked with Newcastle, and one for me I'm not personally a fan of, a Pedro Neto from Wolves. Now the problem with me being, I always bang on about Almiron and Murphy. Now a lot of you guys, to be fair, pointed out correctly in my Keep Yourself video that I was harsh towards Jacob Murphy. I was saying that this guy doesn't get goals and assists, where you look back, you wouldn't have thought of it. The guy's got 8 assists last season in the Premier League, so you can't rule Jacob Murphy out for that. You got to give a lad a lot of credit for it. Now you look at Pedro Neto, he basically has the same assists as Jacob Murphy. He has quite literally almost the same stats as the guy. So when it's a player that's going to be quoted 30, 40, maybe he's even going up to £50 million from Wolves, he's not worth it. I stated so many times that an out wide player, we've got Gordon that can do it on the left. We need a right hand side player that will bag you goals. This guy statistically does not get goals, so why would you sign him for such a big amount of money? I know Pedro Neto, you can argue, has different qualities, he has different individual abilities as a player that you want to look into, but for me, we need goals. We need goals on that right hand side as well as the left, and Pedro Neto, for the money, I don't think it's worth it. So for me, I would actually be against the signing. Now, an outright player that does get goals that Newcastle has been linked with is Olise from Crystal Palace. Of course, we've seen with Crystal Palace, second half of the season, they've turned up out of nowhere. They look so good. 10 goals and 6 assists in 19 matches. And that for me is top quality, especially for Premier League games as well. So the problem with a player like Olise is he can have such high demand. Man City want him. God knows what our teams are going to come in for him. So Newcastle will face quite heavy competition, but it's a player that we are interested in. It's a player that, again, will continue to come out in social media and will continue to be linked with this football club. So it's definitely someone we have on our radar. For me, if we do get him in, he's our key sign of the window. It would be the one that Newcastle will spend the most money on. I feel like right-hand side attacker will be the area that Newcastle will spend the most money in. It would be our most expensive sign. And if it's Olise, I'll be buzzing with that one. Such a good player. And 100%, I feel like anyone watching this video now, would you take Olise at Newcastle? Everyone will put their hand up straight and go, yes, Adam, I would. And you can see why with those stats. I think Palace have been so impressive in the second half of this season. They look like a completely different club now. And Olise is one of the main reasons why. Brilliant talent. And finally, last but not least, a name that Newcastle fans have been quite cautious about, and you can understand why, that being Dominic Calvert-Lewin from Everton. So the issue with this guy straight away, when you look at his 2 previous seasons before last season, 17 matches he played in both of those campaigns. That's less than half the season. And if Newcastle was to replace Callum Wilson, in my personal opinion, you're basically bringing in a younger Callum Wilson, a guy that is also injury prone, great player, someone that, especially lockdown years, looks exceptional, but he's just struggled with injuries. He's struggled to get back into it. And last season, I mean, 7 goals in 32 matches isn't terrible considering how bad Everton are. But even then, though, I feel like Everton's not actually the worst team you see in the Premier League. So those stats, I don't think are great. I think they're just okay and average. And it depends on how much money you could bring him in for. I wouldn't be completely against it, but he's just a liability. I bang on about Callum Wilson getting injured all the time. So I'll be a massive hypocrite if I go, well, actually Callum Wilson can go because of his injuries. But I'll happily take Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I mean, how can I come out and say that when he also gets injured all the time? So it's a strange one. And I wouldn't be against it, but I feel like we need someone that's going to stay fit. This guy, for me, is probably not going to stay fit. 32 games last season is good, but how can we guarantee he's going to get at least 30 games again this season? We just can't guarantee that. So it's a tricky one. I would say I'm on the fence with this one. I'm not actually completely against it, because when you look at his stats, he does get goals. He does get a lot of goals, and I know his form has dropped, but it's because he got injured so much. So I feel like if he was able to get consistent game time at Newcastle with good players around, you got to remember Newcastle have a much better team than Everton, then I think we've got something to work with. But there's got to be better options out there. Surely there's some better strikers out there we can bring in, and I feel like Newcastle we've got to aim for bigger. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, with all due respect to the guy. But that's 10 targets for now, or a couple extra actually with the goalkeepers. But that's a few targets now that the PF will go in for, they will look at. I wasn't lying at the start of the video when I said it's a massive contrast in quality between them. And that's such a strange position we find ourselves in, but that's also the unfortunate problem we have without a director. Again, Amanda murdered her hands on. We've got to do things differently this summer. And we've seen it so far, it's working well with the free agents, and we seem to be active and wanting to go from minute one to get these signs in straight away. However, without a director of football, we have to do things differently. And without European football as well, our targets are probably not going to be as good as you might want. I know, like I said, Olise and Morgan Gibbs are exceptional talent, and there are some players out there that are quality, top of the mark, and we can bring some of these in. But without European football, we will suffer somewhat. Any stiff competition with Premier League teams that have Europe, and we're going to struggle. We've got to accept that, and we have to move forward. But don't take this video for the full truth. You know, we are going to target a lot more players in the 10 that I mentioned in this video. a lot more names will come out. Some will sign this video, a lot of them we probably won't, and we'll sign some players that probably aren't in this list. So yeah, for now, they're just targets that we know that the PAF wants. They know that they want before. These are targets that the PAF will look at. They'll have them on their checklist, but of course, the checklist is going to be bigger than 10 players. So do beware that their shortlist is going to be much bigger than this. There'll probably be much better players on the shortlist. This, for now, is just players that I know the PAF are looking into. And once more names come out, of course, we'll update you in the transfer videos as they come. But hope you enjoyed watching. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'm fascinated to see your guys' opinions, because straight away some of these names are going to get you in horror. I know they are. It's got me in a bit of a state. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. Appreciate you all watching. I wish you all the best, and we'll see you all in the next one.